Hi, I'm Tamara Hawkins. I'm the founder and director of Stork and Cradle, and it's been on my mind and heart to come out and talk to you guys today about Cesarean Awareness Month. We're about to close it out, and I wanted to share a few tips, well, 7 tips with you on how to reduce your risk in having a primary cesarean birth. And these tips are directed to the mom who is low risk, doesn't have any medical conditions, and who we expect to have a vaginal birth. We know that in New York State, I'm in New York City, and our cesarean birth rate for moms that had their first cesarean birth is about 30%. So it's pretty high. And it's estimated that with a lot of changes in obstetric care, those numbers can come down. So what I need for you to do is to understand just a few things that you can affect to improve your rate of having a normal birth and reducing your risk for a cesarean birth. So 7 things that we're going to talk about. One is choosing your care provider, whether that's an obstetrician or a midwife. How do you really want to give birth, and what type of experience do you want to have? Number 2 is investigating the hospital. When I used to work at a hospital and give tours of the maternity ward, people wanted to choose the hospital. They wanted to go to where the prettiest things were. And number 1, your birth is going to be controlled by your doctor. And then you choose the hospital. The hospital culture and practices are very important as well. Number 3, we have to check your fears. You need to explore your fears, stop running away from them, and really figure out what you need to give birth. The 4th one is during your pregnancy, if you learn that your baby is breech, which means that the baby's head is up, or transverse, meaning the baby is lying sideways, the American Academy of Obstetrician and Gynecologists, as well as the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine, advocate that doctors attempt to turn that baby down. And in their review of research, they found that is not done enough. And if what's called an external cephalic version works, and this baby head is turned from being here or sideways to being down, that vaginal birth is more likely to occur. We know, especially in New York State, if a baby is breech or transverse, it's automatically going to be a cesarean birth, and many women aren't even given the option to try to get that baby to turn head down. The 5th is to understand your options for a vaginal birth should your baby be suspected to be large. So we're going to talk about a couple of things in regard to that, because they also say that unless your baby is going to be huge, suspected to be about 11 pounds, they do not suggest or advocate for a scheduled cesarean birth. And they also say that sonograms are just not accurate. And the 6th thing is to labor home as much as possible. By yourself, uninterrupted. Well, not by yourself, but with your family, if you have a doula, because we need to allow your body to actually get into the process of birth. So let's get into this. When you're expecting to be pregnant, trying to get pregnant, you want to go by your choice of providers. Don't just blindly ask your family care provider or even your insurance company who would you recommend. You can ask your girlfriends, of course, but once you find a name, you want to do some investigation. So best thing to do is to become a Google investigator. Go on the internet, type in their name and reviews, and see what people say about them. Find out what's online. Go into your Facebook mommy groups, pregnancy groups, go to meetups of new parents. I always advocate going to a breastfeeding support group during your pregnancy so you can actually see normal breastfeeding and ask what have you heard about this doctor? What do you know about this doctor? You can also always find the office of the professional department in your state and check for any lawsuits. New York State Department of Health, physician and physician assistants, disciplinary and other actions. So this is the Office of Professional Medical Conduct, and right here we can search for board actions regarding a particular physician, and you can visit their physician profile down here. In addition to that, you can look into the New York State health profile of different hospitals. So now we're on step number 2. You've investigated and researched reviews of the doctors. Now we're going to check the hospital that they deliver. And this is really basic. If we go into hospitals, so here we see within the past year, they have had 7,000 births plus. 67% of their births are vaginal, 32% of their birth is cesarean. And then this little pop-up box will let us know what these reporting period is. So this is actually from 2014, which is interesting because a lot of the public data is not going to be what we would consider up to date. Like it's 2017, we went 2016. I would have expected 2015 to at least be present. But when we look into vaginal births, we can see the number of breech births. So this says that Mount Sinai East had 57 cases of a cesarean breech births. Now, I don't really know if this means that they had breech vaginal births, because when we're in the field and in the community, it's unheard of that there are breech births, especially in New York City, unless the baby came out as soon as the mom walked through the door. But that's their statistics, 0.8%. Now epidurals, 83%. So I'm just going to close this and just go over to cesarean births. So you can see the primary cesarean birth rate is 21%. Their repeat C-section is 11%. And the majority of their births are through spinal anesthesia, and then other moms have epidurals for their anesthesia. I'm not going to go into the differences in these anesthesia techniques, but in our cesarean birth class and in our childbirth class, we do talk about these things specifically. The third piece is to really delve into what it is that you need to give birth, to face your fears head on and not act as though if you thought about what you were concerned about that you're going to make it come true. I'm just going to put it out there. Many women are afraid, and their partners are afraid, that a mom might actually die in childbirth. You know what? It's normal. It's expected. In many cultures, it's celebrated that a mother is born, not only that a baby is born. And women pass through gates of initiation through their labors, and once they get to that last gate, or what we consider to be transitional labor, that they die of their old self and they're born renew as this new energetic self who now begins to nourish this baby in earth form. It is common also for women who I'll just say that I've been present with a number of women when I used to work at a birthing center, and they would be in the tub and we knew that their birth would be close, and they would say, "Oh, I feel like I'm gonna die." And we would look to each other and be like, "I think she's moving through," because we also knew that this mom is healthy. She's been completely progressing through, meaning that her cervix is dilating. We know that she is well hydrated, her vital signs are normal, so she is not at risk of anything bad or dangerous happening. Can't go away. So I invite you, I'm going to open up my internet again, and I invite you to actually come down into my class, Birth Like a Badass. And that's birthlikeabadass.com, where I have a free course for you to take to actually guide you through giving up the shit And that means that you're like, oh my God, what if this happens? But should I talk to my doctor about it? My doctor never give me enough time to ask any questions. I don't even want to think about it. It's going to make me anxious and nervous. Girl, bye. If you don't start digging deep into what you are afraid of and what you think might happen, all you're going to do is leave all of this pent up energy in your body, so that when you actually get into labor, your brain is going to explode, because you're going to be so turned inward to what you're feeling and experiencing, and it's the first thing that's going to come up into your mind. So please, please, you might not want to take this course, and that's perfectly fine, but I need you to either seek counseling so that you can talk about what's going on, and that could be in the form of joining a new expectant moms group, having private counseling, or hopefully you have a great care provider who can sit and discuss all of your concerns with you. I do not recommend only reading books about things that might be scary or nervous to you, because you need a dialogue with someone who is a professional, who can actually give you the information that is research-based and scientific. So that could be your childbirth educator, your doula, your OB, and your midwife, after you've done your own work. And so within this course, I'm just going to scroll down, and we have 3 different modules, and I ask you to explore your worries, explore your concerns, but most importantly, daily, I want you to ask yourself the question, what do I need to give birth? So the best thing that you can do is pull out several index cards and write on them, what do I need to give birth? So daily, you write an answer to that. And that's going to allow you to move past the fears and really open yourself to the awareness of what you need to actually feel supported and safe in your labor. Now, the 4th thing is, if you have a baby that is breech, I'm going to just close this window. If you have a baby that is head up or transverse, it just physically can't come out vaginally. And I talk to moms in childbirth class often who are 37 weeks gestation or 35 weeks, and they've been breech since 20 weeks, and the doctors have never offered them the option of seeing if they would be a candidate for external cephalic version. So the document that ACOG and the Society for Maternal Fetal Medicine put out stated that they encourage doctors to help moms get the baby turned head down by doing this procedure, and it's better outcome if the mom has an epidural. So I've been present to these procedures, and a doctor, typically 2 or maybe just 1 strong doctor, puts their hands up here where the baby's head is, down there where the baby's butt is, and has to manually turn the baby around. So why would it be better with an epidural? 1, because it relaxes the mom. It helps to relax the uterus so that we don't have resulting contractions. 3, it is uncomfortable. And 4, should there be an emergency where the cord or the placenta is manipulated a bit, then that will be a quicker route to help to get the baby out. Before that direct manipulation of the baby is even considered, ladies that have a breech birth, which is rare, only about 3% of women who are pregnant will have a breech pregnancy, you should explore chiropractic care or care with acupuncture. So chiropractors who are familiar with the Webster technique will actually help to loosen up joints within the pelvis and the lower back to give the baby a little bit more space to turn down. That's a wonderful modality that often is used along with external cephalic version should the chiropractic care not be all that's required or doesn't make the baby turn around. And the other modality from acupuncturists is called moxibustion. So in Chinese medicines, there's lines of meridians or energy, and we know that these lines of energy connect into the uterus and connect underneath the pinky toe. And when that area is innervated, typically with heat and with herbs, it can increase the energy of the baby, and we hope that the baby can help to turn down. Now, there are other things that are out there that people say to do, which I'm like, girl, if you want that baby head to turn down, let's get some real work going. But you can also try handstands, putting an iron board, like leaning down on a couch and your head is down, your feet is up, ice in different positions in the belly, music on the belly to help the baby kind of focus down to the sound. So that stuff is out there, but let's be real. We want some real results. And so if your baby is in a less than optimal position, you want to explore chiropractic work, acupuncture, and if those two don't work, then please talk to your doctor about external cephalic version. The fifth option that has been shown to help to reduce a mom's risk for primary cesarean birth is not going for the old okie doke of, oh, your baby is big, you absolutely need a cesarean birth. So what I love about this report is that the report is saying no, only if your baby really, really, really seems to be big, which they state is 11 pounds estimated on sonogram, or 9.9 pounds, so close to 10 pounds if a mom has gestational diabetes or was a diabetes or diabetic to start. It is safer for a mom to actually go through labor because we get oxytocin flowing, the baby gets ready to breathe with all the contractions, and if she so needs to have a cesarean birth, then so be it. But having scheduled cesarean births have their own risk, including the baby having trouble breathing should their lungs not be fully matured, or really just not experiencing the contractions that causes the baby to take lots of deep breaths to clear out the lungs. And then what is great research now is with cesarean births, we know that the babies don't get colonized by the mom's own microbiome of the vagina or the natural bacteria that's in the vagina. So you'll see lots of information about that in terms of cesarean versus vaginal birth. And that's not even to touch on all the things that we're concerned about with the mother. So if she had a cesarean birth, did they double stitch the incision to improve her ability to have a vaginal birth or a VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean, with her second baby? How is she at risk for increased infections with this cesarean birth? What about clotting? What about bleeding? And let's not even talk about the pain and also swelling that can affect the breast and the ability for the breast to normally and naturally fill up with milk after a cesarean birth. And hopefully there won't be a disconnect between mom and baby for different reasons after cesarean birth, which can reduce the success of breastfeeding within the first week. And lastly is laboring at home as long as you feel safe. Again, if you are a mom that have a normal pregnancy, you don't have any health issues, your baby doesn't have any health issues, you should be able to safely stay home and and labor with your baby without medical interruptions. So how long is long? I don't know. I don't have that exact answer for you, but here's a way to figure it out. Your partner can ask you, how are you feeling? Your partner can look at you and see if you're starting to look a little anxious. If you're able to eat and drink without vomiting and you're staying well hydrated, great. If you're able to relax in between contractions, great. So a couple of things that you need to do when you're at home. Number one, dance and play. You need to dance. You got to get your hips moving. You got to get that baby out. And you want to play because you got to get your mind off the contractions. The worst thing that you can do when you're staying home is to time every single contraction to just be sitting on the couch or laying in the bed waiting for something to happen. Go out for a walk, play Scrabble, watch a movie, go get your nails done. Go out and play with your dog, play with your pets, but you gotta stay distracted. And I do have a playlist that I put together, so let me show you that on Spotify. Birth Like a Badass. So here are some of the songs on here. So the number one is Lose Yourself by Eminem. No, it's not your typical labor song, but he says you better lose yourself in the music the moment you want it. You better never let it go. You only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. So this is your birth. You have to give it your all. Let yourself be free. Lose yourself. You have to surrender to the process. I know that's so cliche, but that's what it is when your oxytocin is flowing and you're just kind of moving and rocking and moaning to make yourself comfortable, and you get these endorphins that are released the stronger your contractions come, and your left brain starts to take over, that is more loving and artistic and expressive, and the right side of your brain that's more tactical and thinking shuts down. You get into the labor mode, you get into labor land, and you just flow. And dancing and music and meditation will help you get there. And for some people, music is their meditation. There is a song that you can just put on repeat, and that will actually lead you into where you need to go to really get into your body and stop thinking and listen to what your body needs you to do to get comfortable. So number two is you have to eat and drink. Once you get into those hospital doors, they are shutting down your food options, and they might give you, well, they will give you clear fluids for the most part, but I've seen reports where a doctor wouldn't even let a mom suckle on a lollipop. So that's where going back to number one and choosing your doctor is super important. And I'm sorry, I missed one point about your doctor. Your doctor works in a team. It's not just them. So not only do you need to investigate the doctor that you want to choose, you want to investigate the whole entire practice. Because when you're in a practice, there's no telling who's going to deliver you. You might see one doctor for your prenatal care, but any of the other doctors could be on call the night that you go on labor. And the other thing to remember is that practice might be covered by a second practice. So you got to ask these questions. When everyone is off because it's a holiday, who's the secondary coverage? And you want to actually investigate them as well. Okay, now going back to laboring for a long time at home. So eating and drinking so that you can have some good carbohydrates and fats that are actually going to build up your reserve. And what you're going to reserve in your body is also going to fuel the baby. So if you're in labor, it's not if you're in labor. The correct statement is if you are admitted in the hospital in labor for 8 hours. Those 8 hours are just with clear fluids, and clear fluids is broth, juice, ices, lollipops. It could be frozen fruit pops, jello if you like jello. So I recommend that you actually make your own broth. You can make bone broth that you can sip. You can make iced tea. What's really good in pregnancy to have is red raspberry leaf tea and nettles. Very nourishing, very strengthening for your uterus. Lemonade, or even have sliced lemons that you can suckle on. Very refreshing and can also help to moisten up your mouth. So whatever it is that you like, bring it in, or they're just going to give you the real basic stuff from the hospital. So eating and drinking is important, staying well hydrated. So partners, one of the tips that I tell in my class is, especially for the partners, after every contraction, please have mom take at least 1 sip of fluid with every contraction, and she should be having about 8 ounces of fluid every hour. The third piece of this to labor home safely is mixing in your rest with moving. So rest is huge, and a lot of moms will actually fall asleep and can start to snore during labor. And to rest, you can mix in hydrotherapy or getting in the tub, getting in the shower, turning off bright lights, getting in positions where you're leaning forward so your belly is really hanging down and the pressure is off of your back, massage, light touch. All of those things are going to help balance the rest, balance the rest, dance, and play that you're going to need. And only go into the hospital when you, as the birthing mother, feels like you're ready. So that's twofold, because you may have doctors and family members, maybe even a doula, who's encouraging you to stay home, stay home, stay home as long as possible, because they know if this is your first baby, that first time babies can take a little longer. But if you're feeling the urge to push or something just doesn't feel right, go ahead and go. Baby number 2, they typically come faster. So moms, you've been through that already. You kind of know when you need to leave the hospital. Leave the home to go get to the hospital. Or if you're having a home birth, making sure people are there, your midwife is there to actually be there to assist you. And lastly, to labor at home safely, really consider hiring a doula. And if you cannot find a doula, in New York City, we have tons of resources for doulas. There are volunteer organizations that will help low-income women, and then there are doulas that charge an exorbitant amount of money because they have crazy experience with women in birth. And so coming back to the internet, here is my best place for you to search for a doula. And this is going to the Doulas of North America website. And so you can easily find a doula by clicking this link here. Find a doula, and when you get here, so when you get here, you'll be able to scroll down and you can put in your zip code and find what type of doula you would like, birth or postpartum, and have your way so that you can actually have the excellent support that you need. Now, if you're not one that you want that third person in, then your partner needs to be the doula. Like he or she needs to write doula on the forehead. So that means that you should absolutely be going to a childbirth education class, understanding the normal progression of labor. And in Stork and Cradle's childbirth classes, we go through all the tricks and tips and tools that you need to stay comfortable. And we also do a labor rehearsal. So getting that muscle memory is important. So let me recap. To labor home as long as possible, you need to dance and play. You want to eat and drink. You need to mix that in with rest and have excellent support with someone who trusts the normal progression of labor and can anticipate what will be coming next so that your labor stays safe at home. So here are your tips to reduce your risk of a primary cesarean when you are healthy, your baby has been healthy, everything in the pregnancy has been healthy. 1, investigate your care provider, their partners, and the group that covers them. Investigate your hospital of birth. I gave you resources from New York State. If you don't live in New York State, just start searching your state Department of Health providers and see what comes up for you. Number 2, explore your fears. Really give yourself the permission to go deep down and ask yourself daily, what is it I need to give birth? Consider taking our free class, Birth Like a Badass, and you can find that at birthlikeabadass.com. It's pretty short. The course in of itself is only about 30 minutes, but I would encourage you to do each module per week because there is homework for you to do. 3, if your baby is head up or sideways, Investigate getting chiropractic Webster technique care to help that baby turn down, acupuncture to help that baby turn down, and lastly, talk to your doctor about the external cephalic version to help to get the baby to turn down. If a sonogram is suspecting that your baby is large, trust and know that the practice recommendations from the Academy of Obstetricians and Gynecology states that unless the baby is measuring close to 11 pounds or 5,000 grams, or if a mom is diabetic and the baby is measuring about 4,500 grams to 9.9 pounds, they don't support scheduled cesarean births for that, because the research shows that sonograms can be wildly inaccurate. Lastly, labor home as long as possible. So you need to set yourself up mentally and emotionally to make that happen. And I will be remiss if I did not mention the power of being intentional with meditation and really tapping into your spirituality to help you move through that process. And everyone needs someone else to help them go through a rough patch. So consider hiring a doula or preparing with your partner to get through those contractions, because the powerful physical experience that you're going to go through is life changing, and we want it to be life changing for the better. I hope this video was helpful for you, that I gave you a few interesting tips that will lead you into the right direction to create a dialogue with your care provider so that you can truly feel empowered and confidence that you have the knowledge to direct your plan of action in your birth. So I wish you a very happy birth. Please comment down below. Let me know if I missed any tips, if you need any more information. I look forward to your feedback. Have a good day. Enjoy the spring.